tell you exactly what I think of a film. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to conclude the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy with Spider-Man 3. You know, that one. To clarify here, I don't hate this movie. I'll go into why. Now let's be me, 2007 me, so happy with Spider-Man 2, love that movie, can't get enough of that movie. So Spider-Man 3 comes along, and it fucking not bombs, it fucking annihilates the box office. It was before one of the Tom Holland Spider-Man, it was the highest grossing Spider-Man with over $800 million in box office worldwide, which is pretty cool. But the critics were more mixed on it. They didn't absolutely hate it. If you look closely at the Rotten Tomatoes score, it's actually not a rotten movie. You would think it would be. The audience score, of course, is very divisive. I mean, I remember the critics didn't really like it, but it was the fans that pretty much dubbed this as the worst Spider-Man movie, and it's one of the worst comic book movies of all time, and I don't really think that. And, well, why don't we just get into why? The whole using stills from the movie thing sucks. It's like my first episode of The Honest Critic. I'm not too happy about that credit. Best credit in the movie. So we open this movie with everybody loving Spider-Man. Peter's doing good in life. He's doing good in school finally.
Tonian shows us that Miss Stacy.
Forced character.
Wonderful.
Okay, this is painful to watch.
Harry!
I love this whole series I've been building up with Peter and Harry Osborn at odds now. They were best friends in the first and second movie. Now Harry can't stand Peter just because he's Spider-Man. Well, mostly because he thinks he killed his father. See, Aunt May no longer lives at that house of the first two movies. And he gives Peter a special gift to give to Mary Jane. The gift that keeps on giving. Now we're going to get an amazing action sequence. I'm not gonna lie, I was floored at this part when I first saw it. And of course Harry gets amnesia, which I think was a good thing to get him out of the movie for a while, to let him breathe a bit with the other villains. So I think I actually like this. Now we're introduced to one of the highlights of the film, Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman. And I'm telling you, he looks the part. I love this moment. This seems like a real adult moment, especially right here.
I'm just here to see my daughter.
You are an escaped convict. The cops are looking for you. You're not getting near her.
It was Sandman. They made him kind of like a tragic villain. It's cool. I'll be honest, this movie's in-universe explanation of how Sandman came to be is a little weird. Now here comes one of the best sequences in the movie. This is like if Sam Raimi's short film just somehow got stuck in this movie somehow.
It's Brock, sir. Edward Brock Jr.
Better not.
I work at the Daily Bugle.
And now we're introduced to another forced character, Eddie Brock. And let me tell you something, Topher Grace does know Eddie Brock.
Relation at the Bugle's been pretty good.
I love Ted Raimi.
You like that shirt? Here, it's a Crane accent. Check out the light source.
He likes my shirt.
Jay Jonah's response to this. I like my shirt. Now we see that there's a mad review of Mary Jane's crappy play, which is to be expected. We get Spider-Man gets the key to the city. Now we get a great action scene.
Pecar.
Of course you'd be mad. That was your kiss with her, bitch. And now we finally get to see what the symbiote is all about. Now, Sam Raimi probably doesn't read a lot of comics after the 60s Spider-Man because Spider-Man got a black suit after the Secret Wars, so there's no build-up to this. So it kind of just comes out of outer space in this movie. I actually like this. This shows that the suit is changing Peter, where he actually wants to kill Sandman.
Is a good boy.
I like how Mr. Dickovich understands that Peter is a good person. That really shows that he knows Peter, even though he's bothering him with rent.
I don't think it's for us to say whether a person deserves to live or die.
Aunt May kind of shows Peter the wrongness it is to kill somebody. I mean, there's times where you feel so angry that you want to kill somebody, so that's what Peter was feeling with a black suit, and he's trying to confess that to Aunt May and using the third person, but Aunt May says that's wrong. It's a good scene. I really like Mr. Dickovich's man-to-man with Peter and his advice. I'm a good woman, you're a good man. That's awesome.
Hey, Mr. Dickovich.
Peter, now Harry hallucinates his father and it brings back his memory, so now he wants to kill Spider-Man, but first he'll attack his heart by making Mary Jane break up with him and making him think he's getting cucked by Harry.
You do to her.
I love this confrontation with Harry. It really shows how the symbiote is really changing Peter.
I just got lucky.
This is so wonderful.
In this movie, he is not Eddie Brock from the comics. Now, Sam Raimi admitted he knows nothing about Venom. He didn't want to put Venom into the movie, but Avi Arad told Sam Raimi, you want people to love this movie, you gotta put in Venom, and he actually listened, which kind of didn't work out because Sam Raimi says you can't hide if you don't love something, and he didn't love Venom. He thought he was just a brute, so he didn't really understand him. That's why in this version, Eddie Brock is a Bizarro Peter who is just an asshole, not really Venom from the comic. And I think putting him in the movie was a big mistake.
No, we're gonna have to print a retraction now. Haven't printed a retraction in 20 years.
I love that line. I will defend this. Let me tell you something. Like I said at the beginning of this review thing, whatever. Sam Raimi really understands Peter Parker. So, what is Peter Parker? The dork. So, what's evil Peter Parker like? Super fucking dorky. He can't be really evil. I mean, sure, he tried to kill Sandman, but that didn't even happen. He wounded James Franco, Harry Osborn, but he's still a fucking dork at heart. He just doesn't even come off like a villain. He comes off as an asshole and a total tool.
Oh. Hello.
Mr. Parker, Dr. Connor's here.
Oh, Dr. Connor.
If you can't beat him, join him. So, in the symbiote suit or whatever, Peter takes Gwen Stacy out on a date to show up Mary Jane. Gwen Stacy realizes it, apologizes, and leaves, and Peter accidentally hits Mary Jane, seeing that the suit is really changing him. He just literally hit the woman he loves, the whole reason he's trying to do all this stuff. So, he goes to church. Take me to church! And gets nude in church? Now this is another thing where Sam Raimi doesn't really understand Venom. This
I want you to kill Peter Parker.
is not something Eddie Brock would really do. This seems something more like a Bizarro Peter. Like I said, Sam Raimi doesn't understand Venom. This whole scene is kind of weird. I mean, who asked God to kill people? Like, isn't one of the commandments, thou shalt not kill? Why would God do it for you? And Venom team up. And what's their big plan? They kidnap Mary Jane.
So, where to?
Peter tries to ask Harry for help. Harry refuses. But then he learns he didn't kill his father, so he wants to help out. So Big Bad Sandman and Topher Grace, I'm not even calling him Eddie Brock, I'm calling him Topher Grace, are a big match for Peter.
Peter. both.
A big fight. Harry ends up injured, more fatally injured. And here again, Spider-Man never has to kill the villain. He finds a smart way of finding the fact that the symbiote hates loud noises, gets Eddie Brock out of the symbiote, but Eddie Brock killed himself. That Flint Marko was the one who killed Uncle Ben. And Peter apparently has his own memory, I don't know. Here we find out that Flint Marko didn't want to kill Uncle Ben. He was actually went off. And I think this is a good thing. I mean, it shows Peter that, he wasn't much of a villain. And Peter forgives him, which I think is also good. It shows the hero can always try to be the better person and forgive somebody who did him wrong. And Sandman goes away to rob another bank. Maybe. I don't know. Harry dies. Peter cries. There's another funeral. And I like this movie's bitter ending. Spider-Man defeats the villains, loses a friend, but reconciles with Mary Jane. And they dance. So, that was Spider-Man 3. What I like about it? Well, the Sandman stuff was good. The Black Suit stuff was decent. The whole Peter turning evil and just going out of his way to be an asshole really just shows that Peter isn't that evil, he's just a dork. And the action is cool. Sam Raimi directed the hell out of most of the action sequences. It was actually the most expensive film ever made at the time. But was it a good sequel to Spider-Man 2? No. Is it a good movie? Probably. Is it a bad superhero movie? Maybe. But is it the worst superhero movie of all time? Hell no. I fucking love this movie still in some ways. Hate it in some ways, but I enjoy the hell out of it. And I think this has just been a great series of the Spider-Man movies in the Sam Raimi universe. Like I said, my favorite superhero trilogy is the Spider-Man trilogy. Alright. So, what do you guys think? Remember to like the video, share the video, and subscribe. I will see you all later. Honest Critic, out.
Thank you.